Coming up next, from rock royalty to wild misfires, today we're covering the greatest supergroups you've never heard of, but won't soon forget anytime soon. We're telling the stories of rock legends who almost joined forces but just couldn't get it together. Others that actually made it to the stage and into the studio, so we got a little bit of both. Among them, there's a soap opera-inspired band that mixed reality television with arena rock with some of the biggest stars of the time. It was decades before that even became a thing. Then there's the band who came together during a drunken jam session and accidentally cut an album that became a cult classic. We're also covering two of the biggest icons in music history whose project was thwarted by llama drama in the recording studio. That's right, an actual llama derailed this legendary collaboration. Plus the near-miss Beatles-Stone supergroup that could have become the biggest band of all time. It's next on Professor of Rock, brought to you by Acorns Early. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you remember this, you're going to dig this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below right now. I know you're going to dig this channel, find something here. I do apologize. With allergies and going to a concert and screaming really loud, I lost my voice a little bit, so just bear with me. Also, make sure to check out our podcast. We've got all of our episodes up there. You can search by interviews, and we've even got some surprises you won't find here. Check it out on Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your podcasts. You can click here or click below. You know, some supergroups redefine rock history. Others barely escape the rumor mill. Today, we're digging into some of the strangest but most fascinating and completely unexpected collaborations in music history, both the ones that happened and the ones that almost did. I think you're going to enjoy this one. It's my top 7 odd and unexpected supergroups, odd for different reasons, you'll find out. This one's going to be good. I think you'll enjoy it. Let's get started. Coming in at number 7, I've got a great one here. In the early 80s, two of the biggest voices in pop and rock history, Michael Jackson and Freddie Mercury, attempted to join forces.
Big disgrace, kicking your can all over the place, singing
Now, both admired each other's work, and after Queen went on hiatus in 1983, Freddie Mercury reached out to Michael Jackson. They actually met at MJ's home studio in Encino and began working on 3 tracks. There was Victory, State of Shock, and There Must Be More to Life Than This.
There must be more to life than this.
Their friendship had actually started years earlier when Michael Jackson attended the Queen concerts at the Forum in LA. He was a big fan. Now, Freddie Mercury recalled saying, he kept coming to see us, and then we just started talking. Jackson even encouraged Queen to release Another One Bites the Dust as a single, which became their first U.S. #1 hit. He loved it because of the groove. But once they hit the studio, that's when things got really strange. Creative differences and scheduling conflicts slowed progress, but it was Michael Jackson's studio habits that really threw Freddie Mercury for a loop. Most notably when MJ insisted on bringing his pet llama Louie into the studio. As Queen's manager Jim Miami Beach recalled, Freddie rang me and he said, "Miami, dear, can you get over here? You gotta get me out of here. I'm recording with a llama." Despite the chaos, rough demos were completed for this.
a state of shock. I got it.
In the end, none of their collaborations made it onto Mercury's 1985 solo debut, Mr. Bad Guy, as planned. State of Shock was later re-recorded with Mick Jagger, if you remember that, for the Jacksons' 1984 album Victory.
She put me in a state of shock.
While Freddie Mercury recorded the solo version of There Must Be More to Life Than This.
There must be more to life than this.
A long-lost duet version of that track finally surfaced in 2014 on Queen's Forever compilation.
There must be more to life than this.
So at one point, Freddie Mercury even floated the idea of pulling Rod Stewart into these sessions that would create a mega supergroup. Actually, Rod Stewart later joked, saying, "Can you imagine me, Freddie, and Michael all trying to sing lead on the same song? We'd never get anything done." The idea fizzled, but the few recordings that remain offer a fascinating glimpse at one of rock's great what-if collaborations. Gosh, I wish they could have gotten together.
Through a fire on the ring, victory will paint the skies the brightest hue.
Coming in at number 6, it's one that's really hard to fathom. Back in the late 60s, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones ruled the rock world, of course. And while fans often debated which band was better behind the scenes, there was mutual respect and even friendship between the two. In fact, as the Beatles began to fracture in 1969, John Lennon quietly floated a bold idea, a supergroup that would merge both bands into one. The rumored lineup would include John Lennon, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Charlie Watts, and even Eric Clapton. I mean, if that had come together, it would have been one of the most audacious collaborations in rock history, no doubt about it. A dream lineup fans have since nicknamed the Dirty Stones. Now, Lennon had already briefly tested the waters with a different supergroup, the Dirty Mac, during the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus taping in 1968, performing alongside Clapton, Richards, and Mitch Mitchell from the Jimi Hendrix Experience.
The universe, and you know what it's worth.
I mean, even Jagger introduced Lennon that night, showcasing the growing camaraderie between the Beatles and the Stones. With Lennon increasingly restless and Mick Jagger exploring business leadership within the Stones, a full-fledged supergroup didn't seem impossible.
Girl, you know the reason why.
But the project quickly ran into trouble, and it all revolved around the Beatles' internal drama. I guess John Lennon had pushed for manager Alan Klein to take over the Beatles' affairs, while Mick Jagger, having already dealt with Klein during his own career, warned Paul McCartney against it, saying it would be a terrible idea. Paul McCartney refused, and that created a deep divide within the Beatles as the legal battles with Klein escalated. Any talk of a Beatles-Stones collaboration quietly fell apart. By the time the Beatles officially split in 1970, the supergroup idea was all but dead. The players involved all respected each other, of course, and several of them, Lennon, Clapton, Richards, and Watts, had already crossed musical paths in various forms. But egos, lawsuits, and bad timing got in the way, and the Dirty Stones became one of rock's greatest what-ifs. All right, coming in at number 5, it's one that you would never expect. You got to hear this to believe it. I got soap opera. In the early 80s, a peak era for both soap operas and rock crossovers, a group of TV producers came up with one of the strangest concepts to ever blend the two. The idea was a hybrid mockumentary series called Soap Opera, which would combine soap drama tropes, rock star personalities, and tongue-in-cheek documentary footage. Now, to pull it off, they recruited Rick Springfield, Doug Fieger, lead singer of the Knack, and Mark Lindsay of Paul Revere and the Raiders. And paper, it was the kind of project that either could have been a cult smash or, could have completely crashed and burned. I mean, each artist brought serious name recognition from different corners of pop culture. I mean, Rick Springfield was red hot at the time, thanks to his chart-topping smash Jesse's Girl, and of course his star turn as Dr. Noah Drake on General Hospital.
Monica Quartermain. Monica, meet Noah Drake, our new staff surgeon.
Well, hello. Nice to meet you.
Doug Fieger brought his power pop credentials from fronting the Knack and writing My Sharona, one of the biggest hits of the late 70s into the 80s. And of course, Mark Lindsay carried serious 60s rock pedigree as the ponytailed teen idol, from Paul Revere and the Raiders. Now, it was an unusual mix, that's for sure, but one that offered producers a built-in blend of TV appeal, radio hits, and really cross-generational star power. The premise followed these three musicians playing fictional versions of themselves, soap opera actors who form a real-life rock band. Shot in a mock documentary style, soap opera was designed to parody the backstage antics of band rehearsals and awkward interviews and even stage-on-stage disasters. It was really an early taste of reality TV storytelling, decades before the format became a cultural phenomenon, way ahead of its time. From a network perspective, the idea made a weird kind of sense. Springfield had already bridged daytime soaps and radio stardom. Doug Fieger brought serious pop rock chops, and Mark Lindsay connected to a whole earlier generation of music fans. Baby boomers and Gen X. These performers were comfortable in front of the camera, and they had enough acting ability to sell the concept. For a brief moment, execs saw soap opera as a trend-setting hit. But despite early excitement and the filming of a full pilot episode, soap opera never made it to air. Feedback from internal screenings was reportedly lukewarm, and the strange hybrid genre likely confused test audiences. With no clear place on the TV schedule, not quite a sitcom, not quite a rockumentary, not quite a soap, the network quietly shelved the project. The band never recorded a full soundtrack, and no full episodes ever aired. Today, soap opera survives only as a fascinating what-if in the world of crossover pop culture. Could Springfield, Feiger, and Lindsay have built real on-screen chemistry? I think so. Would it have caught fire in an era dominated by Dynasty, Dallas, and daytime soaps? Problem is, we'll never know. But it remains a curious, forgotten moment where TV and rock and roll nearly collided in one of the most bizarre mashups imaginable. Looking back 4 decades later, soap opera actually feels oddly ahead of its time. In a world where mockumentaries and band biopics and music-based reality shows are commonplace, this lost pilot was experimenting with a formula that would have become incredibly popular decades later. And who knows? It could have been a major hit. It took Seinfeld a whole season to pick up, and same thing with Cheers.
I'd just like to know what you knew and when you knew it.
Mr. Seinfeld, Mr. Costanza.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name.
We got to track down that pilot, and we got to track down if they ever recorded songs, because I've read that they did, and I've read that they didn't. I want to mention our sponsor. I have this friend who used to give her kids a fake credit card, the real credit limit and everything, just to teach them financial responsibility. And I remember thinking, what a great idea. And then I discovered Acorns Early, and wow, it takes that whole concept to the next level. It's a smart app and a debit card made just for kids ages 6 to 18. And it helps them learn how money works in real life. Saving, spending, earning, and it helps parents manage it all, from tracking purchases to setting up chores and allowances. As a parent of 2 young kids, I'm all in on this. I only wish something like this existed when I was growing up. I also found out that on the Acorns Early app, you can even open an investment account for your child and learn about building wealth together. It's not just smart, it's a great way to connect with your kids about their future. Head to acornsearly.com/POR or download the Acorns Early app to help your kids grow their money skills today. Again, that's acornsearly.com/POR. Acorns Early Card is issued by Community Federal Savings Bank, member FDIC, pursuant to license by MasterCard International. T&Cs apply. Monthly subscription fee starting from $5 per month unless canceled. Next up at number 4, it's one of the more unexpected supergroups on this countdown. This one will make you do a double take. It's a 2009 power pop experiment called Tinted Windows.
You've been dancing with my head for oh so long now. Really shake up your whole world. The kind of girl.
Listen to this off-the-wall lineup. It consisted of Hanson's Taylor Hanson on lead vocals, James Iha of Smashing Pumpkins on guitar, Adam Schlesinger of Fountains of Wayne on bass, and Bun E. Carlos of Cheap Trick on drums. Yeah, you heard me right. That's Bun E. Carlos from Cheap Trick. With musicians spanning multiple generations and genres, Tinted Windows set out to blend their collective influences into something fun, catchy, and surprisingly old school. The seeds for Tinted Windows were planted in the mid-90s when Schlesinger first met a 14-year-old Taylor Hanson. Both were making their debut albums at the time. They kept in touch over the years, tossing around the idea of one day working together. Schlesinger already had a working relationship with James from Smashing Pumpkins. The two had collaborated on several projects, including producing an album for America and working together in Ivy. Indian summer. So eventually, as the schedules aligned, the trio recruited Bun E. Carlos, who surprisingly agreed to join the project. Their first public performance took place in March 2009 at Kane's Ballroom in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which was Taylor Hanson's hometown. And then 2 days after that, they played South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. From there, they hit the Bamboozle Festival in New Jersey. They were generating buzz as audiences tried to wrap their heads around just what the hell was happening. Tinted Windows, they leaned into the fun, though. They released their debut single, Kind of a Girl, via a mock vintage promo for a fictional show called Rock After Dark. And then when their album dropped in April 2009, it was pretty good. It delivered sharp, hook-filled power pop that pulled from 70s guitar rock and 80s new wave. Songs like Kind of a Girl and Messing with My Head showcased Schlesinger's gift for melody, while, James and Carlos added enough muscle to keep it from becoming too bubblegum.
Come on, you've been messing with my head.
Despite the band's cheeky name and the members' playful debates about whether to call themselves a supergroup, a megagroup, or even an ultra group, the project wasn't a gimmick. As Schlesinger said of Hanson, Taylor's voice is one of those rare things that you don't come across very much in life. He can sing anything with total conviction, and he has amazing range.
You've been messing with my head for so long now.
Honestly, I'm going to fully admit to liking Mbop. And honestly, if you listen to the lyrics and the band's more slowed down, mature version that came out a few years ago, it's more than meets the eye. It's pretty great, actually. Let me know if you'd like me to cover that in the future. And don't kill me for saying that. Tinted Windows toured lightly throughout 2009, playing dates across the US and later visiting Japan in early 2010. But after that, the band largely went silent, though Taylor Hanson mentioned in a 2014 interview that the group was still technically together. They'd even discussed recording new material, but nothing has ever materialized since. Sadly, any chance of a full-on reunion ended when Adam Schlesinger passed away in 2020 due to complications from the thing I can't say on here, I don't think. In the end, though, Tinted Windows remains one of the more surprising and underrated supergroups of its time. A one-album side project that managed to merge rock, pop, and power pop royalty into a tight melodic package. Actually pretty good. Next up at number 3, it's a smattering of genius, the Hindu Love Gods. In the mid-1980s, another unlikely supergroup quietly emerged out of the Athens, Georgia music scene, Hindu Love Gods. Hindu Love Gods was a wild, short-lived collaboration that brought together the incredible genius wit of Warren Zevon and a Michael Stipe-less REM. That is Peter Buck, Mike Mills, and Bill Berry.
That's when I saw her. Oh, I saw her.
Who would ever say no to REM with Warren Zevon on vocals? Not me. It all started informally, just a few jam sessions, some local gigs, and an impromptu single in 1984. First, the lineup also included Athens musician Brian Cook, but by the time the real magic happened, it was Zevon and the REM trio holding down the fort. The real recording spark came in '87, while Zevon was cutting his solo comeback album, Sentimental Hygiene. Berry, Buck, and Mills were already serving as the backing band for that particular record. But when they wrapped up early with an extra day of studio time to burn, Zevon threw out a crazy idea. He said, "We finished ahead of schedule, so we did the Hindu jam session deal. We did it in one day." The band got together, they cracked open some drinks, except for the sober Zevon, and they knocked out an entire album's worth of loose, freewheeling blues and rock covers in one late-night session. The resulting album, Hindu Love Gods, was a gritty, unpolished collection of rock covers. The set list leaned heavily into classic blues. There was Robert Johnson's Traveling Riverside Blues, Willie Dixon's Wang Dang Doodle, and the Muddy Waters Manish Boy. But they also threw in some modern surprises, most notably the cover of Prince's Raspberry Beret. That, of course, became the album's breakout moment, reaching number 23 on the Billboard Modern Rock Tracks chart. So, as Mike Mills explained, we said, fine, when we all got drunk, except reformed alcoholic Warren. And we cut a bunch of blues covers and Raspberry Beret. The entire session was spontaneous, unrehearsed, and never meant for mass release. In fact, the project's original working title, as proposed by Warren Zevon, was even more bizarre: Monkey Wash, Donkey Rinse. But then came the twist. After Zevon left Virgin Records, his new manager cut a deal with Giant Records to release the Hindu Love Gods material as a full album in 1990. This is without informing the REM members beforehand. The record quietly appeared on store shelves, catching Buck, Mills, and Berry by total surprise. It was certainly news to us, is what Bill Berry would say. They were making demands on us. They wanted us to do videos and stuff, and we were saying, come on, this was done as a drunken thing in the middle of the night. Now, despite the awkward rollout, the album developed a cult following. Critics praised its loose, unfiltered energy, and fans embraced it as a rare meeting of two musical worlds. It also served as a strange time capsule, capturing a one-night collision between R.E.M's alt-rock sensibility and Zevon's sardonic blues rock edge. And while Hindu Love Gods never recorded another note together, this one-off remains a favorite among collectors of rock oddities. All right, coming in at number 2, I got the Heads. Does anyone remember this one? So, in the mid-90s, 3/4 of Talking Heads attempted one of the most unusual supergroup scenarios in rock history. Jerry Harrison, Tina Weymouth, and Chris Franz, the instrumental core of Talking Heads, decided to reunite for a new project after failing to entice lead singer David Byrne back into the fold. So with Byrne firmly pursuing his solo career, the trio performed a few shows under the tongue-in-cheek name The Shrunken Heads, a not so subtle nod to their reduced lineup. Eventually, they adopted a new name, just The Heads. The project officially came together around 1994, about 5 years after Talking Heads had unofficially fractured. So Franz would later recall finding out about Byrne's exit secondhand, saying, as far as we were concerned, the band never really broke up. David just decided to leave. In the years following, the remaining members continued to collaborate informally, really. They appeared together at a Roy Orbison tribute concert. They also were part of the Escape from New York tour that they shared stages with Debbie Harry and the Ramones. But it wasn't until 1994 that they decided to make a proper studio album together. Without Byrne's distinctive vocals and songwriting, the Heads brought in a roster of guest singers and friends. A revolving lead singer, really. Their 1996 album, No Talking, Just Head, that featured an impressive lineup of collaborators, including Debbie Harry from Blondie. There was Michael Hutchence from INXS, Jonette Napolitano from Concrete Blonde, and Ed Kowalczyk from Live. Recording sessions stretched across 1994 and 1995, with each guest bringing their own flavor to the project. Musically, the record retained some of Talking Heads' rhythmic quirkiness, but leaned heavily into 90s alternative and electronic textures. The album was released in October of 96 on Radioactive Records, with plans to build a full-fledged new career from it. The band envisioned a full tour and additional albums. 2 singles, Damage I've Done and Don't Take My Kindness for Weakness, they were released along with music videos and club remixes by Moby. In support of the album, the Heads hit the road with Jonette stepping in as the primary touring vocalist, from Concrete Blonde. But just as momentum started to build, legal problems brought the project crashing down. David Byrne filed a trademark infringement lawsuit against the group, arguing that the name The Heads, it was just too similar to Talking Heads and might mislead fans. Ironically, The Heads had long been used informally as a nickname for the band, even while Byrne was still involved, so there was that. The lawsuit delayed the album's release, and though it was eventually settled out of court, the tension, it took the wind out of the project's sails. Despite the high-profile guest lists and the buzz surrounding the idea of Talking Heads minus David Byrne, No Talking Just Head failed to resonate with critics and the record-buying public together. Today, No Talking Just Head remains a curious side chapter in the history of Talking Heads. A bold attempt by Harrison, Weymouth, and Franz to carry forward the creative partnership without their iconic frontman. While it didn't click commercially, the album has become a fascinating artifact. It's not exactly Talking Heads, but for diehard fans, it's still an intriguing what-if moment in alternative rock history and something to go listen to. All right, so we're to the number 1 spot, and to take number 1 on our countdown today, I've got a group that isn't that surprising, but the record label's handling them after a big hit record, actually a couple, is what gives them number one in the odd supergroup department. I got Damn Yankees at number one. I mean, really, who would have expected this crazy collaboration, though? The lineup consisted of Styx's Tommy Shaw, Night Ranger's Jack Blades, Ted Nugent, the Motor City Madman himself, and drummer Michael Clark-Alone, who was a rising talent at the time.
Come sail away with me, lads.
Sister Christian, oh, the time has come.
Now, Damn Yankees formed in 1989. Like many of their peers, supergroups like Bad English and Alias, these veteran musicians whose original bands had hit career lulls and were looking for fresh starts. That's what they had in common. Actually, though, the idea to bring these four musicians together didn't come from the band members themselves. It actually came from A&R mastermind John Kalodner, who was at Gephart Records. After seeing Shaw, Blades, and Nugent each adrift in separate projects, Kalodner imagined a supergroup that could cut through the highly saturated late 80s rock landscape.
We don't need to talk about it anymore.
Jack Blades recalls getting a call just days after Night Ranger officially disbanded, and within a week he was standing on Tommy Shaw's porch in New York, guitar in hand. That first weekend, they wrote half of their debut album. According to both Shaw and Blades, the songwriting partnership, it was instantaneous. He said, when Tommy and I first got together, writing was one of the easiest things that we did. Very cool. And then there was the wild card, which was Ted Nugent. While Shaw and Blades had immediate creative rapport, they weren't sure how Ted would react to their melodic hook-driven ideas. But to everybody's surprise, Nugent was game for it. As Ted later joked, being a domineering prick is a lot of fun, but it's not a full-time job. In fact, it was Nugent who came up with the band name during early rehearsal. We're a bunch of damn Yankees. Let's call it that.
Don't worry about it, ma'am. Just them damn Yankees.
Once they nailed down 2 commercial-ready tracks, including what would become their biggest hit, High Enough, Kalodner pitched them to labels. Ironically, Geffen, his own label, passed. But Warner Brothers jumped on it immediately. Their self-titled debut dropped in 1990, and it was a massive success. The album peaked at number 13 on the Billboard 200. Eventually, it went 2 times platinum.
It's just a memory, and I don't want to live without you.
A lot of people forget how big this record was. I mean, the singles kept coming. Coming of Age hit number 1 on the rock charts. Come Again hit number 5, and Runaway climbed to number 9. 3 big hits, 3 top 10s on the rock charts.
She can't help it, she's coming of age. Now, here I come again. Oh, yeah, you gotta run, run, run away.
But it was High Enough that crossed over to the pop charts, going all the way to number 3 in the Hot 100, far surpassing anything Shaw, Blades, or Nugent had achieved individually. Ironically, High Enough almost didn't happen, though. Blades recalled nervously pitching the power ballad to Nugent, confident that he would hate it. But instead, Ted listened, he nodded, and he added his own guitar flourishes, completing their signature song. In 1992, Damn Yankees followed up with their second album, Don't Tread, which went gold and produced another Hot 100 hit, Where You Going, that peaked at number 20. So another big hit for them. Crossover. While the record still delivered multiple rock hits, including Don't Tread on Me and Mr. Please, the rock scene was rapidly shifting at this point. Grunge and alternative were taking over, and this is where it gets insane. As Blades later explained, after a double platinum album and a gold one, Warner Brothers executives paid this supergroup, Damn Yankees, $1 million to walk away and not record a third album. $1 million to go away. And with that, Damn Yankees, they were effectively sidelined. Now, in hindsight, Damn Yankees captured a brief but brilliant moment at the end of the glam rock era. They brought together 4 distinct personalities, a Midwestern madman, 2 polished pop rock songwriters, and a rock-solid drummer, and made it work fabulously. And today, High Enough, it still holds up as one of the definitive power ballads from that era. Who wouldn't like to make $1 million just to disappear? These are so many great supergroups, and there's actually more. Would you like to see another top 5 or a top 10 of the greatest supergroups that ever were, or almost were. If you'd like to see it, let us know below. Leave us a comment. What are your memories of these songs? What are your memories of these bands? Did you have any of these albums? We got to track down Soap Opera. That's what I know for sure. I apologize about my voice. But if you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.